Chosen one, there is a holy interruption unfolding in your life, and heaven is the one who initiated it. You are not here by accident. You are summoned into this moment by divine appointment, drawn into a timeline where God Himself is unveiling what has already been written over you. Anointed one, the signs around you are not imagination. They are confirmation that the God who restores, the God who accelerates, the God who lifts without warning, has stepped into your story with supernatural intent. You are standing at the threshold of a breakthrough that was preserved for its appointed time. Just as it is written in Habakkuk 2-3, that the vision will come and it will not delay. What looked lost is being returned. What felt denied is being rewritten. What you thought was over is rising again under the weight of divine funding moving in your favor. Chosen one, heaven is shifting outcomes, aligning steps, and preparing a transfer that cannot be stopped, because your future has already been safeguarded. And in the quiet places of your spirit, even now you can feel the truth of it. Not every reminder arrives through words. Sometimes it comes as something still and steady, waiting to be found just beneath this moment. Chosen one, there is a reason your spirit has been feeling that quiet pressure, that subtle stirring that refuses to let you settle where you are. Something holy is moving toward you, something that has been building behind the veil long before you ever prayed for help, long before you ever knew how deeply heaven had already committed to your future. Anointed one, what is unfolding around you right now is not coincidence. It is divine orchestration, timed with the same precision God used when He spoke light into darkness. You are standing in a threshold moment, and heaven is funding what comes next. I want you to hear this with your whole soul. There are seasons in life when you are surviving, pushing, enduring, trying to make sense of closed doors and silent nights. And then there are seasons, sacred ones, when God steps in and rewrites everything at once. I have lived long enough, prayed long enough, been humbled enough to recognize the difference. And chosen one, the atmosphere around you right now carries the same holy weight I have felt before every major breakthrough in my own life. The same shift that saved me from collapse. The same shift that lifted me in ways I could not have orchestrated with my own strength. That is the shift hovering over you now. Anointed one, everything they tried to use to limit you has become evidence against them in the courts of heaven. Every trap, every delay, every dismissal, every moment when someone underestimated your worth, God has gathered all of it into His hands, not to shame you with the past, to resource you for the future. Heaven does not just restore what you lost. Heaven multiplies what you endured. Chosen one, your appointed time is approaching like a rising storm of goodness, alignment, and supernatural provision. You may not see the full expression of it yet, but you can feel it. Something in you has been waking up. Something has been whispering. Get ready. Something in your chest has been burning, even on the days when everything around you seemed still. That is not intuition. That is not optimism. That is the inner witness of someone who has been marked for divine elevation. Before I go further, go to the comments right now and type, "My funded future is now." Let that be your declaration. Let heaven see that you are aligned with what is being released. Subscribe, because what is coming through this channel in the weeks ahead carries the next layer of instruction. Do not miss the word that follows this one. Anointed one, I want to speak now with specific authority about what heaven has been preparing behind the veil of your hard season. Because the interruption that is unfolding in your life right now did not begin with this video. It began in a courtroom you could not see. The courts of heaven convene not according to human timelines, but according to divine readiness. And the case that has been argued on your behalf, the case for your restoration, your vindication, your release has been in session longer than you know. The enemy came with an accusation. He brought the record of your delays, your failures, your seasons of doubt, the moments you pulled back when you should have stepped forward. He brought the file of every year the promise seemed to go nowhere and laid it before the throne as evidence that you should not receive what was written over your life. And the advocate looked at that file and said, "I know the record, and I paid for every entry in it. The case is closed, not pending, not under review." Closed, and what was closed in the courts of heaven is beginning to manifest in the courts of your daily life. The closed doors that confused you, they were not the sentence. They were the seal on a case that was already being decided in a courtroom the opposition did not control. And now the verdict is being executed, and the execution looks like open doors that you did not knock on. Provision from directions you were not facing, favor that arrives before you have prepared the argument for it. People sent to your path who were assigned to your assignment, not rewards for performance. The execution of a verdict, and the verdict is, this one is funded, this one is covered. This one carries a future that the courts of heaven have already authorized. Do not skip this, because I want to speak about what the enemy is about to do with this word. He heard the verdict when it was issued. He has known what was coming before you did, and in the next 72 hours, he will attempt one specific thing. He will try to get you to explain away what you are feeling right now. He will use logic. He will use the history of previous disappointments. He will find the one area of your life where the evidence still looks unchanged and point to it as proof that nothing is actually moving. And I am telling you now so that when that happens, you have the answer ready. The verdict was issued before the execution became visible. The evidence of the courts of heaven precedes the evidence in the natural. What you feel right now is not imagination. It is the sensing of a verdict that is already real before it is fully visible. Hold the word for 72 hours. Do not negotiate with the doubt that arrives in that window. Do not make a major decision from a place of uncertainty. Let what was declared in the courts finish executing in the natural, and Archangel Michael has been assigned to ensure the execution of the verdict. His sword has been drawn. His mandate, no interference with what heaven has authorized. Isaiah 54:17 says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." That is not a comforting sentiment, that is a legal statement. Weapons were formed. Their success has been legally blocked. You are covered. Now, let me speak about something specific that I was shown about this season of your life. The funding coming to you is not singular. It is layered. Heaven does not release a moment of provision. Heaven releases a sequence. And the sequence begins with something that most people overlook because they are watching for the financial first. The sequence begins with clarity. Chosen one, the first provision that arrives in this season will not be money. It will be the end of the fog. The particular confusion that has been sitting over the direction of your life, the inability to see clearly which step leads where. The sense of circling the same territory without being able to identify the exit, that confusion is being lifted. Not gradually. The way fog lifts when the wind comes, suddenly, completely, without announcement. And in the clarity that follows, you will see the next step. Not the whole staircase. The next step, and the next step will be the one you have actually been capable of taking for longer than you knew. It was not the step that was missing. It was the clarity to see it. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "I know the plans I have for you, plans for welfare and not for evil." plans to give you a future and a hope. The plans were not delayed by your confusion. The plans were written in the clarity of heaven before the confusion existed. And as the confusion lifts, the plans become visible in the sequence they were always in. Within the next 21 days, you will experience the first evidence of the lifting. A decision that has been paralyzed will suddenly become clear. A direction that was murky will sharpen into something you can act on. And when it sharpens, act, do not wait for more evidence. The clarity is the instruction. Now I want to speak about the financial layer, because Deuteronomy 8:18 says God gives you the power to produce wealth, to confirm his covenant. Not the money, the power. And the power is not arriving. The power is already there. What is arriving is the access to the power that the season of confusion suppressed. When the clarity comes, and it is coming, the power to produce begins to operate at a level the season of fog did not allow. Ideas that were in you will suddenly find expression. Gifts that were operating at partial capacity will begin to function at the level they were designed for. And the financial movement that follows will feel different from previous provision, because it will not feel like relief. It will feel like alignment. It will feel like the thing that was always there finally operating in the space it was built for. Provision from unexpected directions, open doors in fields you were not approaching. Resources that arrive ahead of the need rather than barely meeting it. That is the covenant provision. Not barely enough, more than enough, with enough left over to be part of changing the financial story of the people attached to your name. Anointed One, what is coming is not only for you, it is for everyone whose name is written with yours. It is for the generation that does not yet know that the cycle is about to break. You are the interruption. The divine interruption, the one heaven selected to be the turning point in a story that the enemy thought he had already written. He was wrong. And I want to speak specifically about the enemy's error, because the enemy does not have unlimited information. He reads the visible circumstances. He reads the pattern of the previous seasons. He draws conclusions from the evidence that is available to natural sight, and what was available to natural sight looked like it was working in his favor. The delays, the closed doors, the reduced resources, the relationships that fractured, the seasons that felt like regression. He read all of that and concluded, this one is contained. He was reading the wrong evidence. He was reading what was visible and missing what was happening underneath. He was reading the surface of the winepress and missing the roots going deeper. He was reading the dry bones and missing the breath that was on its way. He was reading the empty jar and missing the instruction that had already been given. His assessment was built on incomplete information. And chosen one, the moment his assessment is proven wrong, the moment the picture breaks and the light blazes, the disorientation in the enemy's camp will be the first evidence that the activation has begun. You will know it is happening when what used to oppose you begins to move in confusion around you. When the thing that had a lock on a door in your life suddenly cannot find the key. When the pattern that kept repeating misses a step it has never missed before. When the opposition seems to trip on itself, that is not coincidence. That is 300 torches blazing in the dark. And it means the signal has been given and the pictures are breaking, and what was inside is coming out. Now let me speak about the generational weight, because some of what you have been carrying did not originate with you. It arrived before you arrived. It was part of the story of the people before you, the patterns that ran in the family line, the financial ceiling that kept resetting, the particular form of the struggle that seemed to appear in every generation wearing a slightly different costume. You are not the first person in your family to have been at this place. But you are the first person in your family to be at this place, at this moment, with the specific preparation, the specific encounter, the specific verdict issued over their life by the courts of heaven. And the work of heaven in your life is not only personal, it is generational. What breaks in your life in this season does not reform in the line that follows. The ceiling you break through becomes the floor of what your children and your children's children are born into. The pattern that ends with you does not restart with them. Chosen one, you are not just receiving a breakthrough, you are establishing an inheritance, and heaven funds inheritances, heaven funds legacies. Heaven funds the assignment that reaches beyond the person and into the people attached to the person. That is why the provision coming is larger than your immediate need. That is why the doors opening are sized for more than your single step. Because what is being released is not scaled to one season. It is scaled to a generation, and you are the generation it starts with. Now I want to speak about what the body has been carrying, because the spirit and the body are not separate ledgers. What the spirit has been processing, the body has been holding. Some of what has manifested physically, the weariness that rest does not fully address. The symptoms that have persisted past the point where natural explanation seems adequate. Exodus 15:26 says, "I am the Lord who heals you." Present tense, active, already engaged. The healing was not waiting for the breakthrough to arrive. The healing has been at work in the body, the way the roots were growing underground while the surface showed no movement. What heaven is releasing in this season reaches the body. And what the medical explanation cannot account for in the coming weeks will be the evidence that a verdict issued in the courts of heaven is being executed in a dimension that instruments can measure but cannot explain. Watch for it, receive it. Do not explain it away. Now let me speak about the relational provision, because some of what has been shifting in your relationships has felt like loss. People who were fixtures quietly becoming distant. Connections that once felt certain dissolving without a dramatic ending. The particular loneliness of watching your circle become smaller than it used to be. Anointed one, hear what heaven says about what has been leaving. The departure was a clearance. Not everything that was present in the previous season has a function in the next one. And what heaven is sending into this season requires space that what was leaving was occupying. Not because those people are bad, because they were assigned to a chapter that is closing. And what is being sent, the connection that carries what your assignment needs beside it. The person who recognizes the weight you carry because they have been carrying something of the same weight, that person is closer than you think. They are in their own season of preparation. They have been through their own interruption. And when the paths converge, and they will converge, it will feel less like meeting someone new and more like recognizing someone you were always going to meet. That is the sign, recognition, not introduction. Before I release the next word, I want to pause here for a moment, because what I am describing tonight, the courts of heaven, the verdict, the layered sequence of provision, required someone to carry it to this platform. I want to be honest with you about what that means. The study behind a word like this is not small. The hours of prayer and wrestling with what the Spirit is releasing, the commitment to bring something that reaches the specific person who needs it at the specific moment. They need it. That work requires resources to sustain. YouTube has a feature called Super Thanks. It is a small button beneath this video. I do not say this with manipulation. I say it the way a channel partner says it, the way someone who receives something real might choose to be part of ensuring that the next person in need also finds it when they need it. If tonight the courts of heaven word named something in your season that needed naming, if the funded future language put words around a reality you have been sensing but could not articulate, and you have the capacity to honor what came through, super thanks is that honoring. It does not unlock your breakthrough. Your breakthrough was authorized before you found this video, but it does participate in the word continuing to go out. It says, "This reached me." And I want it to reach the next person who is in their 72-hour window and needs to hear that the verdict is already decided. If this is not your season for that, your My Funded Future is now in the comments, is the participation. It is the declaration of agreement, and heaven records the posture, not the amount. Now, I need to speak to your mind, because the financial and relational provision cannot fully land if the mental warfare continues at its current level. And I know the level has been high. The thoughts that arrive without invitation. The fear that does not have a clear object but is simply present. Coloring the morning before you have made a single decision. The intrusive weight that sits behind your eyes in the hours when the world gets quiet. 2 Timothy 1-7 says, God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. The sound mind is not something you are working toward. It is something that was given. What has been inhabiting the space that belongs to the sound mind is an unauthorized occupant. It entered through the hard seasons. It has been operating without a lease. And in this season of the funded future, heaven is serving the eviction notice, not gradually. With the same authority that issued the verdict over your life, in the coming days, you will notice a specific shift. The morning will arrive differently. Not that there will be no weight, but the weight will have less authority over the first hour. The anxious thought will arise, and the space between the thought and your response will begin to widen. And in that widening space, you will begin to hear things that the noise has been preventing instructions. The next step made audible inside a mind that is finally quiet enough to receive it. That is the sound mind restoring itself, not through your effort, through the eviction. Now hear this. I want to speak about purpose, because behind all the provision, the financial, the relational, the mental, there is a calling. A specific, particular, personally assigned calling that was written over your life before you had the capacity to understand what a calling was. And the calling is what the provision exists to fund. Heaven does not release resources into a life without an assignment attached to the resources. The wealth is not the destination. The wealth is the fuel. The connections are not the reward. The connections are the team. The clarity is not the prize. The clarity is the map. And the territory, the map is pointing to the thing you were made to build, the people you were made to reach. The specific contribution that only the particular combination of everything you have been through can produce, that is what heaven is funding. Not your comfort, your assignment. And the assignment is not vague. In this season of the lifting fog, the assignment will become specific. You will begin to feel pulled towards certain things with a clarity that does not require explanation. A direction that does not need to be argued into. A sense of this. This is the thing that arrives not as excitement, but as recognition. As the answer to a question you have been asking for a long time. Anointed one, the calling has not changed. It was written before the hard seasons. It was not revised by the years that felt wasted. It was preserved in heaven while it was being formed in you through the fire. And what comes out of the fire is the version of the calling that can sustain the weight of what it was always meant to carry. Your assignment is ready. You are ready. And the season of the funded future is the season in which both realities finally occupy the same space. Declare this with me, out loud right now. I receive the verdict of heaven over my life. The case is closed. What was argued against me has been answered by the advocate, and the advocate paid the price. I receive the funded future, not the small version, not the version I scaled down to protect myself from disappointment. The full version, the one written before the hard seasons began. I receive the clarity that is lifting. I receive the first step it reveals, and I commit to acting on the step without waiting for the full staircase. I receive the financial provision that operates at the level of covenant, not crisis. I receive the relational alignment that recognizes, not just introduces. I receive the sound mind as the eviction of everything that occupied it without authorization. I receive the specific calling that the funded future is designed to serve, and I align my steps with the assignment, not with my comfort. The interrupted life is the chosen life, and I am chosen. In Jesus' name, amen. Chosen one. If tonight the holy interruption was named, if the funded future language put words around what your spirit has been sensing, but could not yet articulate, like this video, as your agreement with what was spoken, let it be the seal of the declaration. Go to the comments right now and type, "My funded future is now." Let it be written. Let heaven see the posture of receiving. Subscribe, because the next word carries the specific instructions for walking in the funded future after the fog lifts. How to act on the clarity when it comes. How to receive the provision without shrinking it. How to carry the assignment into the rooms it was meant to enter. Do not miss the instruction. Find the person who came to your mind during this word, the one whose spirit is sensing the interruption, but whose mind has not yet given them language for it, who has been feeling the weight of proximity to breakthrough without knowing that is what the pressure means. Send this to them. Tell them, heaven initiated the interruption. The verdict is already issued, and the funded future is already in motion. Go now, anointed one. Go as someone who just heard the closing of the courtroom, who received the verdict while the execution is still arriving, but is no longer uncertain about the outcome. Walk forward with reverence. Walk forward with confidence. You are not entering the next season empty-handed. You are stepping into it funded, backed, endorsed, and carried by the God who preserved you for this exact moment. The blessing is not coming. The blessing has begun. And the one who began the good work in you will carry it through to its completion. Philippians 1-6. He who began it will complete it. Go in peace. Go in the sound mind, that is your inheritance. Go in the funded future, that is your verdict. Amen.